Hey guys, it's your girl Corein Carter, and today I'm doing an exclusive interview with Faith Rodgers today. You guys may know her from the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, but today we are going to get to know Faith and all about her. Sorry, I was looking down here.
You said never look at me.
He said. So the first question, I'm going to jump right into it. Faith, what do you think you are doing to keep a strong mental mindset?
What am I doing to keep a strong mental mindset? I would say for me, what's keeping me strong or keeping me afloat is just knowing that I'm only 22 and I still have a lot of life to live. There are some days, I feel like, okay, it's over, or I'm reminded of the stumbling blocks, but I feel like the number one thing that's keeping me grounded is I have so many things I want to do in life, and I know being depressed or sad is not going to get me there. So I just try to keep a positive mindset. I really just try to live life like a regular 22-year-old. I feel like after the documentary, I really saw the shift in what it was going to be. And it was hard for me to adjust to that, especially, going places and being recognized for that and not who I am. So I really just try to stay busy, try to stay as normal as possible. That's really it.
I like that. So tell me how some of the backlash has been affecting you and what you are doing to overcome some of the things that have been placed online through magazines and even, on some of the social media outlets.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna act like it's one of those things that it's just easy to brush off and I don't care what people think. Especially for me, like I said, because I feel like I'm more one of the people that get recognized. When you go on Netflix, it's nobody else's face. There I am. So even if you don't watch the documentary, you see me attached to the title of that. So you definitely feel prejudged. There is sometimes the backlash definitely has just caused me to shrink as an individual. I feel like the first 6 months after the documentary came out was the hardest because that's when, it still was a fresh topic. Everybody was so in shock that everybody was saying all these things about their favorite R&B singer. And I felt I think now I'm kind of in recovery mode from everything, but it makes you feel like it's not worth it. It's definitely not worth sharing your story. And like I said, I feel like I'm one of the people, I put a lot out about myself, so much more that nobody else said. So it's you might take the blame for one thing you said and everybody else just gets to float by. And I'm not gonna say that it was easier for any of them too, but I can say definitely for me and social media and my generation, it's a big deal. Everybody else, like I said, they are older, so it may not have been, as they're not really paying attention to DMs as much as me, but definitely that's one of the things I felt that pushes me harder now because I know that there's so many people waiting for me to flop. But I will say it definitely made me, I was depressed. I still am a little bit depressed. I'm at a place now where I can go out in public and I can talk and I can smile. But at the same time, there was a period where I didn't even want to come out my house. I had gained 40 pounds. I was just eating, just online, just reading what everybody's saying about me, crying. I remember because my story broke prior to the documentary. Exactly. So I already had 2 times a big backlash when my story first dropped and then when the documentary came out. And I can remember I was just on Twitter and it was all these people from school that were saying the most terrible things about me. And I was just in shock because these are people that know me. And it was they were taking one big opportunity to say the most horrible things about me that they could. People I thought that were my friends. It definitely was one of those things that changed the game for me, and it made me a nicer person because that was the most humbling thing that could ever happen to me. So dealing with the backlash, I felt it hurt me, but I know it's gonna make me a better person. It's still one of those things you're reminded of the backlash every time you're in the middle of an event that sometimes even the network might put you in. You know, even the award shows and things like that, there's people that won't speak to you. There's plenty of doors that have been closed on me because of what I'm associated with. So the backlash is really one of those things that I would say it changed me for the better, but it definitely hurt me along the process. That was devastating to go through. And I could see why people stay silent because of stuff like that. So it definitely was one of those things that changed me.
Wow. Wow. So it seems like you come across as very strong and confident. What was your decision when you decided to start dating R. Kelly?
When I met R. Kelly, I was 19. I was fresh out of a relationship that wasn't any better. I had been dating this person before I graduated and after. So that relationship, that was really, I felt like when I met R. Kelly, I kind of was in the mode of recovery. So I just wanted to feel important. I wanted to feel like I mattered to somebody. My first relationship, this person had ran me over with their car, broke my foot. I had been stabbed behind this individual. So it was like, I really was not in a place where I shouldn't have been dating anybody. And I felt like that was an opportunity that I was weak and vulnerable, and he saw that. We had plenty conversations about previous traumas and things like that. So it kind of was like, almost like, you know, a broken spirit needs to even more broken spirit. And when I met him, that wasn't a planned thing. I met him at a concert with my older sister. Had no intentions of going backstage or even being as close as we were. But it was one of those things that just happened, and I had no idea, you know, that one night would lead to all this. Wow. So, yeah.
So what has been your family dynamic since the documentary has came out? I know that your parents have been on several different interviews with you, and they've talked. Has this made a closer bond with you and your parents, or has it made a bit of a division between you guys?
It's not a division, but I would say it puts a strain on a family when not only am I taking backlash, but my parents are being killed in the media because of what I chose to do. So I think the biggest thing for me right now is it has made us closer, but when you are a young adult going through life, going through emotions, and you're up under your parents' care, it's not, sometimes it's not as healthy. When they're going through things, when the backlash is getting to them and it's getting to me, it's like raging emotions in one household. So I think for me, sometimes I feel pressure to, I guess, like show the world that like my parents are not responsible for the decision I made. I almost feel like I have to speak on their behalf and mine sometimes, because I don't ever want my parents to get blamed for something I did. And unlike, you know, certain circumstances, my parents didn't know what was going on. They weren't cool with me going in the studio with him. There was no agreement. It was none of that. So I felt like almost I have to protect them too. And sometimes that feels like a bigger responsibility because my parents have always took care of me. I've never wanted for anything. So it's like, you know, when I'm reading, she's a gold digger, then okay, I have to show y'all, no, like my parents actually took care of me. And that's just like, sometimes it feels like a burden because you don't want your life choices to affect people around you, and then you find out it does. So it's almost like one of those things. This has really been a learning experience for me and my family. I will say it's brought us closer, but there's days where it's an emotional strain on everybody in the house, and I'm up and down. So when my mom is trying to uplift me, but she's being bashed and her feelings are hurt too, it's very toxic sometimes. So sometimes, you know, I have to just take a step away from my parents and let them breathe too, because I know it's a lot on them, and I know whatever I go through, they go through too. They're not the parents to just sit there and watch me suffer. And it's like sometimes when you're at a closed off space and you want to be private and you want to just think, and you have mom and dad right there, like, no, talk to me, tell me. Right. And it's It's a process. I don't really have like a concrete answer on that because it is a process.
It's a growing process every day. It's just like any other normal family in any country, any world, you know? So I do have another question for you. Your story seems to have a different dynamic than some of the other girls. You chose to get out on your own a little faster than some other people have. And do you have any correspondence with any of the other women currently from the documentary? And are you guys trying to help each other? What does that look like?
It looks like none of that, actually. And at first, it did not bother me, but I think now, further along, it is bothering me because we all were put on the same platform as Black women. And it's kind of disheartening when you see other people who are online. Like, there were some people, some survivors that weren't on part 2. So they took it upon themselves to make a negative post on social media to not watch part 2 and things like that. And for me, that was almost like insulting because, like I said, my story was out prior to surviving R. Kelly. So I didn't need that. I didn't need that platform. My story was already out. I already was in the middle of a legal situation. So it's almost kind of disheartening when you feel like people who are supposed to support you because they're in the same boat, they look at it as a competition or really like, it's almost became like a game of clout. And I'm really trying to like fight through everything. You know, I hate to not be honest about where we stand, but there's no unity in that group. It's very catty, it's very petty. And when you're dealing with women who are going through emotional traumas themselves, it's hard for everybody to be on one accord. And you have to really understand, and I feel like when everybody is at a place of complete healing, maybe we'll be able to come together. But I know for me, I'm 22. I'm not gonna be coming to a 40-year-old asking her why she's not speaking to me. I feel like it's childish. And I'm honestly, I feel like this is exactly why nobody takes us serious in the media if we're not together on one accord. And like I said, I recognize that all of them have gone through their own traumas themselves, which they may be trying to figure out. So I try not to judge them too hard. But I will say it is a little frustrating when it's like you get hit for saying one thing and it's like, well, why nobody else is saying that? And it's just because they haven't revealed that on camera. But they'll tell everything else. So it's also just, it's frustrating with that topic. It's frustrating. It's real frustrating.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. So I saw another interview where your aunt was talking in a few statistics, and I just want to go over the numbers with you again today and see what your thoughts are. It says, every 73 seconds, someone is assaulted in America. Every 9 minutes, the victim is a child. Only 5 out of 1,000 perps will land in jail. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's sad, but that also goes back into like family dynamics, all type of things like that. It's not, I come from a family where abuse is not talked about. My dad, he's a victim of molestation at the age of 5, and it was one of his family, his cousins, and he never said anything. She passed away, he never said anything. His mother still doesn't know. And my grandma is she's at the age now and she has dementia, so it wouldn't even, you know. But I think that all goes back to people being scared. And also, it takes a lot to tell people when things like that happen. You even talking about it, the details, the process, it's a process. Like even talking to authorities, it's exhausting, it's nerve-wracking. So I feel like all that goes into people and their time. Also, some people, they don't recognize what's being done to them is wrong until they get older. So I feel like it just depends. I don't think that's anything that's positive. I feel like all abusers and child molesters, absolutely, they need to do their time, but they can't unless their victims are speaking. So it's one of those things, it's not easy to talk. So I know why that number is low.
And that brings me to my next question. will you continue to be an advocate once you are done healing with yourself and going through this process? I know the court case is coming up very soon. Will you continue to be an advocate for abuse, or will, once all of this dissipates and goes away, will you kind of just move on with your life?
Well, I feel like that's what, that's a good question, because it's like, it's one of those things, I'm never going to be able to move on from this. So it's like I know I want to make a difference, but I don't want to do it in a way that everybody else is. I don't really care to write a book or do anything like that. I really, same way I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you, I would do that with young women. I want to have a nonprofit started this year, but that's something I want to be my legacy. I don't want to see it as like a movement or something, that I'm strategically doing. I know when it's time for me to talk, and when it's time for me to talk on a bigger platform, or if that even is in my destiny, it'll happen. But I know for sure this isn't something that I'll ever be able to really walk away from.
Absolutely.
And especially after trial starts, it's going to be an even bigger deal. So that's a good question. I don't really know what the future is going to hold. I know right now my heart is like in myself and other young women. So I know when it's time for me to do that, I think I'll do it. I don't even consider myself an advocate. I think I'm just somebody, I went through something and it happened to me and I talked about it, and people tell you, they put that label on you. But I don't think I can ever tell anybody how to heal or try to move on until I'm there yet. And I think people, they have a lot of misconceptions about my healing, or, they go to my Instagram and they see me smiling or even talking to you, but it's like, people don't know, like, this is something like, I wake up and it's like a constant reminder, it's never gonna go away. So, sorry.
That's okay.
I really just want to get to a place where I feel like I can breathe again, and I know I'll be able to do what I'm supposed to do. So, yeah.
I'm sorry. I know that this is hard for you, and I can't even imagine what you're going through. But you know what? You are strong, you're confident, you're beautiful, you're young, and let's talk about something more lighthearted. So, Faith, you are strong, you're confident, you're beautiful, you're only 22 years old, and you have so much life ahead of you. What are your personal hobbies? Tell us about Faith. What do you like outside of all of this other stuff? Because you were just a normal young woman, just like many other 22-year-olds.
Of all this stuff, I really I'm simple. I love music. I love going to concerts. I love traveling. I keep a small group of friends, so I find comfort in my small group of friends. Those are like my best friend. I have one best friend, and I have a couple of girlfriends.
Okay.
So regular chill time for me. I go out. I'm from Texas, so places they're smaller, so they're a lot more calmer and chiller. So regular life for me, I go out with my friends. We go out to eat. I'm actually a really big foodie. I like just finding new places to eat, new things to try. Traveling has really became a hobby of mine. Before, I wasn't really that much of a traveler, and then after all this, I really enjoyed traveling and just getting away and seeing different things and learning about different cultures and different cities. Of course, shopping. I like getting my nails done. I like doing basic things that girls like to do. I'm not really, there's not really like, I've never been into sports, things like that, but yeah, I'm pretty basic.
Not basic, you're just a normal 22-year-old girl.
Yeah.
That's what that is. So are you currently dating, or are you taking some time for yourself?
Right now, I'm not dating anyone. After everything, I have dated a couple people. Dating is fun, but dating me now, I realize I can't really casually date as much as I did before, or I think I would like to. I feel like dating now is it's harder for me, because somebody could hear me talk and be around me and be like, okay, and then it's like, are you gonna care about what you see on the internet? Are you gonna, it's dating really gives me anxiety now, because it's I'm either into it or it's like I know it's not gonna last. I feel like dating now, I have to be more cautious of who I keep around me. I think before, dating, it's supposed to be fun, but I feel like with me now, it has to be kind of more strategic. Like, where are you going? What are your thoughts on life? And I just really, I don't feel like I haven't met anybody really in my age group that is able to comprehend what I'm going through and the effects of it. I feel like people think it's like no big deal until dating me. You find out, okay, I have depression and I'm going through moods and I'm not gonna be this cheesy, smiley person. It's like you have to find your person, and I feel like I don't really want to date unless I know that's my person, because I feel like I'm only 22, but I know where I'm going. I don't have time for people who don't take me serious, and I don't want anybody that's just gonna look at this and not really take the opportunity to get to know me. And like I said, there's already a stigma attached with R. Kelly, and now there's a stigma attached with my name. So I really have to think twice when dating. And especially, it comes with a lot of pressures and anxiety, because you wonder, okay, this person can be completely okay with you, but what happens when y'all go out in public? So I always think about stuff like that, or I have to second guess it. But dating is dating. I try not to put too much pressure on myself about dating. Men come and go, and I want to make sure the next one I come across is better for me.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So your father is a pastor, and you grew up in a church, obviously. So what does your faith look like now? Are you more spiritual? Are you going to church more? Tell us about your religious or spiritual life right now.
I feel like me and God are at we are in an odd place right now. Growing up in a church, especially being a pastor's daughter, my name is Faith. There's a whole story behind my name. I feel like it's one of those things, I know God is there. I know He has an influence in my life, but my spiritual place, I feel like I get frustrated. And I feel like because I see, okay, what other people say God has done for them, and I feel like He has not done that for me yet. And sometimes I get frustrated, and I know me, I lack patience. And that all ties into faith and all that. So it's like, I feel like He has me in a place right now where I kind of have to figure it out. And that's frustrating because you look at, I see my dad and his relationship with God and all the things he tells me God has done for him, or there's certain stuff He's done for me. And my dad's like, that wasn't me, that was God. So it's like, it's one of those things, I have to get a relationship with Him for myself. I feel like everybody, they put pressure, on the outside on religion and things like that. My parents have brought me up in church, but they don't force it down my throat. Even now, I don't attend church as much as I should. And it's not anything wrong with church. It's just, I guess when you're when you're dealing with your own battles inside, it's hard to put yourself, church is a very vulnerable place, or it's supposed to be. So I haven't really got comfortable again in that area. Even when I go to my dad's church, I still feel really uncomfortable because I feel like it's all these people that have watched me since a baby, and now y'all know the horrible things about me, and then it's like when they see me, they're always like, hey, superstar, and I'm like, it's not even all that. Like, I think people have a misconception about church too, because that's not always the place you go for comfort, Church kind of make you feel worse than before you walked in, and I'm really trying to get to a place of comfortability with God and trusting Him, and really just not being frustrated and not being impatient. Like, there's days I wake up and I'm like, I feel this way. I know when I go to sleep I'm gonna feel this way too, so what's the point of praying? I have to tell myself I can be really ungrateful, and I have to tell Him, like, thank you, God, just for being alive. Like, I'll complain to Him about how miserable I am, but I'm alive and I have an option and really a choice to change. So me and God, we've got some things to work on. But,
we all do, so
yeah.
don't be ashamed there. We all have things to work on.
Yeah.
You come across as a very authentic woman. You have great energy that you're radiating, even
Thank
though
you.
I know you're trying to heal parts of you.
Mm-hmm.
So what can we look forward to seeing from you next on a personal level?
On a personal level, I would hope that y'all see me in just a better light. I want to be seen as myself, not Faith from Surviving R. Kelly. I'm really trying to, which all that comes into just like growing, because I want to be somebody else, but I can't if I'm not putting myself in a place to be social and things like that. I'm open, but I'm private at the same time. So it's kind of contradicting when I get in a room full of people and I freeze up. But I told my story to everybody.
Correct.
So it's one of those things. I know once Faith is completely happy, you will see me where you should see me. I would love to get into acting. I've been doing some modeling here and there, and I like it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I know, my talent is bigger than a photo. It's bigger than a brand. I want to get to a place where people look at me and they no longer see R. Kelly or Surviving R. Kelly. They just see me.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, I want to give you a hug. You are amazing.
Thank
I support you
you.
100%.
Thank you.
There's nothing but love around here.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's your girl, Corein Carter, and this is Faith.
Bye.
Bye, guys.